This has been a little while since we have shared a service on Zoom together. So I do want to remind you that at the top of your screen, you have a choice between looking at us as a collective. You can see all of the squares in the circle with gallery view. You can also switch to speaker view, and especially when we get to the beautiful music after our brief service, you may want to be on speaker view so that as Elana Arian shares her wonderful music with us, that you might be able to just focus on that, and we're going to turn our cameras off. And in this moment, it is wonderful to welcome you to our Selichot services. This is the beginning. We enter the holidays. We enter this entire season, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Sukkot that follows, Simchat Torah. All of these days we would so desperately like to be in person with you. And yet we know that COVID is still a part of our reality. We're going to take every precaution. We are hoping to have some of you in the sanctuary with us in the days that follow. In this moment of Selichot, as the sun begins to set on this Saturday night, Shabbat ends, we turn our thoughts to the serious work ahead of us, exploring our actions of the past year, making plans for a year ahead, beginning the process of teshuvah, of exploring who we are and who we want to be, and then turning ever so slightly in that direction, making our lives in the coming year just a bit better than the lives in the past year, so that we can become the people we were destined to be. Cantor Merer, it's so wonderful to share this with you. The rest of our clergy team is here as well, and Matt Richardson, of course. Thank you so much for being here. Patty Freeman-Dorson is going to join us toward the end of the service to blow our shofar. We're very excited for that because, of course, the holidays don't start until Patty Freeman-Dorson plays the shofar. In this moment, we are going to make a transition, a havdalah, between the week that is past, the Shabbat that we are ending, and this new moment of the Yamim Noraim, the high holy days, the days of awe that are beginning.
Shavua Tov. A tale is told of a person who came to a rabbi searching for answers to life's difficult questions. The person said to the rabbi, "I have already been through the entire Torah, and I have not found the answers to my questions in it." The rabbi paused for a moment and then responded, "This is a very common struggle. You may indeed have been through the entire Torah, but has the entire Torah been through you?" An interesting question that we may need time to ponder. So often we turn to the source for an answer for the questions we seek, but do not find them outright. Perhaps that is because we seek the quick, easy fix rather than the lifetime of a solution. Tonight, as we mark Selichot, we not only spiritually but physically put the reminder of the possibility of a new, fresh, clean slate for the new year in front of us. Like flashing lights on a roadway, the white of the season, the white we will soon don upon our Torah scrolls, is that visual reminder of the possibility that is before us. It is our choice on how we respond to that visual cue. We can recite the words of Selichot, offering apologies and atonement, but until we let those words really process through us and become a part of us, we may find a fix, but not a solution. Tonight, as we remove the Torah scrolls from the ark and change the mantles to white, may you see yourself changing as well, recognizing the clean slate before you and knowing that the steps to get there may not be easy, but they often provide solutions that are long-lasting. Each of us has the path to get there. We just have to let the lessons of the Torah, in the broadest sense, not just come upon us, but flow through us.
We invite you now, if you would like to rise in body or spirit as we open the ark and prepare to change the Torah mantles to white. Adonai, Adonai, El Rachum Vechanun, El Rachum Vechanun, Erech Apayim Verav Chesed Ve'emet, Notzer Chesed La'alafim, Notzer Chesed La'alafim, Nose Avon Va'fesha V'chata'a v'nakeh. Adonai, Adonai, El Rachum V'chanun, You may be seated.
What always amazes me is how I think we can find holiness in so many places, and sometimes very unexpected ones. This happened to me very recently, and perhaps it is a place that some of you can relate to and identify with. To me, this happened in one of those what you call driveway moments that you sometimes hear about on NPR. When you sit in your car and you really want to hear the end of whatever the story it is long after you arrive wherever you are going. I know this doesn't happen quite so often anymore as we can now stop and start podcasts. But I do remember many a time when my mom and I were sitting in a car, just waiting to hear the end of whatever story we were listening to, long after we arrived home or at the grocery store or wherever it was we were going. So just this week, I had one of these driveway moments when I was listening to This American Life on NPR. As I was driving, there were tears streaming down my face as I sat raptly listening to this story. I was so inspired by this story that I heard that I'd like to share it with all of you. It was about a seemingly ordinary apartment building in New York City, but the residents there came up with this very beautiful tradition that has helped sustain them through this long pandemic. At the beginning of the pandemic, like so many other groups, they gathered together every evening at 7 o'clock to thank the healthcare workers. Each night, these people who were strangers got together and they cheered and they shouted and they banged pots and pans. They were celebrating life and checking on each other. In the midst of the pandemic and all of its darkness, they found a way to find joy and to celebrate life. So now, more than a year and several months later, this group of people still gathers together every single night at 7 o'clock with their pots and their pans and their desire to find some cheer. In these intervening months, these strangers have become close friends. And part of this ritual is not just about thanking these healthcare workers, but it is also a way for them to check on each other and make sure that each other is okay. And even on these nights when they don't feel like coming out, when it is cold or they are tired or they have other things going on, they continue to keep up this commitment because it is so important to each of them. Many of these people live alone, and this is their only contact, thus even more important. This community, defied so many of our assumptions about life in New York City, has truly made a commitment to helping each other. And when they were asked how long they intend to keep this ritual up, they said they really don't know. They said hopefully one day this pandemic will long be over. But they said when that happens, when we are lucky enough to find that day, perhaps they will still be standing there every single night at 7 p.m., cheering on the healthcare workers with their cheer and their pots and pans. So my question to you is, these people in this apartment block, they started this tradition and they had no idea where it was going to land, but it has become a central aspect to their daily lives. So tonight, as we are deeply engaged in the reflective process of the High Holy Days, my question is to you: what habits, what rituals, what do you want to start to do in the year ahead? Where are you hoping to find your inspiration? And how are you hoping to help uplift the spirit of others? The High Holy Days remind us that we should aspire to live as our very best selves all of the time. Through this intensive reflective process, when we hear beautiful music and the sound of the shofar, we are trying to make meaningful changes in our lives. We are trying to find new habits. We are trying to find new rituals and really be those people that we hope to be. So hopefully, in 5782, we will find our own ways to do this. Hopefully, we will be able to find our own way to meet our neighbors every night at 7 o'clock. And hopefully, when we do so, we will be doing so with cheer, with smiles, with thanks, banging our own metaphorical pots and pans, checking on each other, and celebrating life together as a community. May we all have the ability to do that, and will the shofar calls that we are just about to hear help inspire us to do so. Shana Tova.
The shofar's blasts are a alarm clock ringing in the new year. The shofar blast is the silent scream, the cry of our prayer. The shofar blast is a guttural, visceral, raw noise that wakes us up. It also is a very beautiful, beautiful sound that beckons to years in the past, reminds us of where we came from. It is also an immediate sound. It reminds us of where we are. If you are in a position to stand, to rise, either in body or spirit, please do so. Tekiah. Shivarim Trua. Shivarim Trua. Tekiah Gedolah. We hope that as the sounds of the shofar call us all to greater strength, that we find that strength. And I know that tonight will be a very inspirational night, which will lend us all greater strength for the holidays ahead. Shana Tova.
Shana Tova. And I, Patty, every year it is humbling and just so beautiful, and also just so unfair that you can breathe like that. It's just amazing. So thank you. Thank you for everything you do. Thank you all for being here tonight. I'm thrilled to introduce my very, very talented, very good friend, the one and only Elana Arian. Elana is one of the leading voices in contemporary Jewish music. She is a composer, a multi-instrumentalist, a prayer leader, a recording artist, a mensch of a human being. She inspires communities across the country with her soulful songwriting and spirit. Elana's work has been included in many transcontinental music publications, including both the popular Ruach and Shabbat anthology series, and her compositions are sung in synagogues. We sing them right here all the time, summer camps and spiritual communities from London to Cape Town, from Australia to New Orleans, and everywhere in between. Elana's released 3 albums of original music and is thrilled to be working on her 4th, entitled The Other Side of Fear, which I believe we are kind of sponsors on that album, which we are thrilled about and honored to be. Elana has served on faculty at both Havana Shira and Shirei Chagiga in London, in addition to touring nationally and as an artist in residence in communities around the country. She is proud to teach at HUC-JIR New York, working as an adjunct instructor and teaching artist in the Debbie Friedman School of Sacred Music. She's performed everywhere: Carnegie Hall, Lincoln Center, Tanglewood, and perhaps most memorably, 5 separate appearances at the Obama White House. Raised on equal parts Mozart, Mingus, and Mitchell, Elana studied conducting and violin, jazz guitar, and songwriting as an undergraduate at Yale. She's appeared on NPR's Soundcheck, as well as on PBS's Finding Your Roots. A sought-after studio musician, she maintains a busy recording schedule, working with such varied artists as Peter Yarrow, the Dirty Projectors, and Katie Curtis. She held the guitar chair in the smash revival of Sweet Charity, starring Tony Award winner Sutton Foster, as well as in Kristen Chenoweth's Broadway concert tour for the girls. When she is not doing 9 million amazing things, Elana is also married to my very good friend, cantor Julia Cadrain, and they've got 2 beautiful daughters who are exactly the same ages as mine, I think, and just crazy busy. And I don't know how she keeps so many balls in the air all the time and does it with such grace. I will tell you, she is a phenomenal guitar teacher, and I am no example of how well she teaches, because while I studied with her, I never practiced. So, but I can't say enough. Thank you for being here. Know that tonight is just foreshadowing what will be an in-person concert this year. Without further ado, Elana Arian.
Thank you so much, Cantor. Nothing like having your entire bio read and just having to sit there and listen to it. You know what I mean? I'm thrilled to be with all of you. I'm sorry that it's this way and not the way that it was planned, but aren't we getting so flexible in this last year and a half? We'll begin singing words from our Psalms. How good and sweet it is to be together, whether we're sitting next to each other in our pews or we are in our little boxes. Sing with me, Hine Matov. Hine Matov, umanayim sheverachim gam yachad. Hine Matov, umanayim sheverachim gam yachad. Sing Hine Matov, Hine Matov, umanayim sheverachim gam yachad. Hine matov umanayim sheverachim gam yachad. How good it is, yeah, how sweet it is, how sweet to be together on this day. How good it is, how sweet it is to be together on this day. Hine matov, hine matov, umanayim sheverachim gam yachad. Hine matov, umanayim sheverachim gam yachad. How good it is, how sweet it is to be together on this day. How good it is, how sweet it is to be together on this day. Hine matov, hine matov, umanayim sheverachim gam yachad. Hine matov, umanayim sheverachim gam yachad. Sing shalom aleichem, shalom aleichem, salam aleikum. Shalom aleichem, salam aleikum. Shalom aleichem, salam aleikum. Shalom aleichem, salam aleikum. How good it is, how sweet it is to be together on this day. How good it is, how sweet it is, yeah, to be together on this day. Last time, hine matov, umanayim sheverachim gam yachad. Hine matov, umanayim sheverachim gam yachad. All right, beautiful singing. I like to see all those. I like to see the moving in the boxes. That's fantastic. Keep that up. I want to start off right off the bat and say how many wonderful things I've heard about your community and how much I'm looking forward to being able to hear you sing in person. But this is a wonderful, first encounter for us to be together. Cantor, it was lovely to have you admit that you didn't practice guitar when I was your guitar teacher. And this program is being recorded, so I just want to say, everybody here is a witness. It's on record. I don't believe that I ever heard you say that, but I did know that that's what was going on. No, I'm just kidding. The thing that I've discovered doing so much of my work over Zoom in the past year and a half is when I'm doing a concert or leading a service and everyone's on mute, I can just say whatever. So I just thought I would take this opportunity to embarrass you a tiny bit in front of your community as a first act. I'm just kidding. It was wonderful to be your teacher. We're going to spend a little time in the next little bit together reflecting on these themes of Elul and these themes of turning and returning to ourselves that we talk about now in this season and in these Yamim Noraim, moving forward, these important, mighty, awesome, in the true sense of the word, days. And I thought we could sing together a setting of the text that we'll hear so much over the coming weeks. Hashivenu Adonai, return us to ourselves. And I liked what your rabbi said at the beginning of the service, that we, in Selichot, one of the things that we're meant to do is we take just our first step to start turning in that direction, right? We know that it's a long journey and that it's not just something that happens in one moment. And so I'll invite all of us to consider this singing of Hashivenu our first step in that direction of turning and returning. This is a setting that I wrote with my friend Noah Aronson. I'm sure many of you are familiar with him and his beautiful music. And I think you probably know this piece, but if you don't, you can just repeat right after me. We return, we return, we return, we return. Together, we return, return again. We return, we return, we return. Together, we return, return again and again, again, to love, to love, love, love. We return again to love. We return again to love. We return, we return, we return, return again. We return, we return, we return, return again and again, again and again, to truth, to truth, truth. We return again to truth. We return again to truth. Hashivenu Adonai, Hashivenu Adonai, Elecha v'nashuva, Chadesh Yameinu kekede. We return, we return, we return, return again. We return, we return, we return, return again and again to you, to you. We return again to you. We return again to you. Beautiful to sing that with you. I'm in as Cantor Mara knows, I after living in Brooklyn, New York for 18 years, I just moved to the suburbs about a month ago. So I'm in major culture shock here, and I'm also singing to you from a different room than I sang, 200 concerts last year in my dining room in Brooklyn. So if you can't hear me or if you need any clarification about anything, please feel free to, put something up in the chat, because I'm just putting it out there. We'll see what's going on. But I see you singing, so that's good for now. I wanted to take a minute to tell you a little bit about how I arrived in this work, and sort of the ways in which my path was influenced to get here. I think in this season we reflect a lot on the twists and the turns and the various ways in which we find ourselves in the very specific situations that we find ourselves in right now, this season, this year, this time of life. And for me, this work of singing in community Jewish music is actually sort of almost like a family business in my family. My mom is also a professor at Hebrew Union College who taught Cantor Meir. My dad is a Reform rabbi, retired now, but I grew up going to, falling asleep on the table in Jewish summer camp to the song sessions, and this music is really in my blood back from the very beginning. And because of my folks, I had the wonderful good fortune to have our teacher of blessed memory, Debbie Friedman, be a real presence in my life. She was a close friend of my parents, and particularly of my mom's. And like many people that I know, maybe some of you are here in this group, I did not plan to be participating in my family business. I don't know if you have a family where everyone's a doctor and, someone goes off to the Peace Corps and does some stuff, and then about 10 years later, you fast forward and they're there in a wonderful medical practice. That's kind of the the vague outline of how I ended up doing this, because I thought, well, my family does that, and I'm going to do music, but different kind of music. And so for many years, for about 10 years after college, I was touring as a secular folk singer and playing venues like as a girl with guitar kind of folk singer. And Debbie, bless her, used to come my very first gigs in New York City. I want you to picture the kinds of places that might give you your very first gigs in New York City. They're not the nicest places. They're not the kinds of places you might want to hang out. And Debbie would come and schlep down from the Upper West Side and go down probably in the basement underneath the venue, which is where I was probably playing. And she would come and listen to me play. And after the show, she'd always say something nice. And then she'd say, "Oh, that was great, Elana. When are you going to write something that, that we can use? Like, how about some stuff for the Jews, Elana?" And I would kind of laugh and say, "Oh, that's so nice, Debbie. Like, I'm definitely never doing that, And we just kind of had that as a joke between us. She would nudge me lovingly about participating more in Jewish music and contributing more to Jewish music, and I would sort of laugh and get it as a loving gesture, but brush it off because wasn't for me. Like, I don't write prayer music, and that's not my thing. And so we did that for years and years. And then fast forward a number of years, my older daughter Maya is 8 now, so it was about 8 years ago. I was a brand new parent, and for those of you who are parents, remember what it felt like when you had that first baby at home. I found myself sort of more unmoored than I had ever been in my life. I didn't recognize my days or my nights. I didn't recognize myself. I didn't know if I was ever going to play music again. I didn't feel particularly good at taking care of a baby or equipped. I wasn't sleeping, all of those things. And I just felt completely sort of at sea. And I remember I was changing my daughter Maya and humming to her to try to keep her calm, And I realized as I was humming and changing her that I was not singing a song that had existed before, that it was just a melody that I was making up. And then furthermore, I realized that it wasn't just a melody I was making up. It was actually a prayer, a setting of a prayer, which was strange because I was never, ever going to write music for prayer. And yet, I still think of this moment as sort of one of the really purest and truest direct moments of sort of personal, spontaneous prayer, feeling so lost and just seeking and calling out. And the text of the piece that was my first piece of Jewish music that I wrote with my daughter on the changing table was the text from Psalms that we say often coming out of Amidah. Yehiyu l'ratzon imrefi. May the words of my mouth, may the things in my heart, may the things that I'm struggling with, may they be okay, may they be acceptable. And I wanted to share that story with you and share this piece with you in this season to just highlight and underline and remind each of us the power that each of us can play in one another's lives. Debbie never got to hear any of my Jewish music. She died 2 years before my daughter was born. So, you know, I think all the time when I do this work of the ways in which she knew this profound thing about me that I didn't know. And she was not afraid to push me, even though I wasn't that receptive. And as we think about and reflect on our actions and our words and their power and the things that we want to do better, let us also hold on our other hands the ways in which we have supported and nurtured and helped people to find the paths that they belong in. So this is Yehiyu l'ratzon. Yehiyu l'ratzon imrefi vehigon libi lefanecha Adonai tzuri vegoali Adonai tzuri vegoali. You after me. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, Adonai, my rock and my redeemer. Yehiyu l'ratzon imrefi vehigon libi lefanecha Adonai tzuri vegoali Adonai tzuri vegoali. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, Adonai, my rock and my redeemer. Yehiyu l'ratzon imrefi vehigon libi lefanecha Adonai tzuri vegoali Adonai tzuri vegoali. I was thinking as we were singing that, I was just thinking about Debbie. I was just thinking about Debbie because of telling that story. And I would love to sing. I wasn't planning on doing this, but I'd love to sing this setting of the text Shema Kolenu. Hear our voice, treat us with compassion. That we'll hear many times through the holidays. And there are lots of incredible, majestic, and challenging and complicated settings of that text that I'm sure you'll hear Cantor Meir sing gorgeously later this season. My favorite setting of this text is a setting that Debbie wrote. And part of what I love about it is that it has the sort of the tension that many of us feel in this season. I feel it in the music, so that there is this pleading that you'll hear in the main melody, Shema Kolenu, this pleading, this crying out, this calling, this asking, and the sort of the fear and the loneliness that can come from that direct speech to God sometimes. And then it also has this beautiful sort of uplifting, joyous, communal, wordless melody that you don't need to know any words to say, and you can just join in and feel lifted from. And I love the presence of those two feelings in one, and the way that we can feel so supported and lifted and buoyed by our community in this time, even in this way. And also the ways in which in a lot of ways, the journeys that each of us go through in this season are journeys for each of us individually. So I'd love to share this setting of hers. I wasn't planning on doing it, but I just love it. Okay, so the communal part is like this. La 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 la. Try that. Now here's the individual calling to God. Shema Kolenu Adonai Eloheinu Chus Verachem Aleinu Shema Kolenu Adonai כי אל שומע תפילות ותחנונים אתה שמע קולנו אדוני אלוהינו חוס ורחם עלינו Adonai Eloheinu Chus Verachem Aleinu. We raise our voices and we make them heard. La 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 la. It's so beautiful. I love that piece. Kendra, did you just pop on the screen? There you are. Tell me about what you're thinking about time right now, so that I can know. I can't hear you right now.
It is, so I think we have time for a couple more. And then I would love to just spend a couple minutes quickly doing a Q&A so that people can get to know you a little more. So yeah, if you have questions for Elana, don't hesitate to send them my way. Yeah, maybe two more.
Wonderful. Sounds good.
I will selfishly say, like, Elana, go for another 40 minutes. But yeah, no.
Okay. We have to save some things for when I come in real life. I mean, this is real life, but in 3 dimensions. I teach at Hebrew Union College, and this past week was the first time that we were on campus together since March of 2020. And there were students that I taught for 2 semesters who I've only seen in this format, and it was just wild to have them walk up to me and start talking to me. And I was like, "Look at you! You're a real person with all different dimensions." And it's. I think that we'll feel that way as well when I see you in real life. I think I would love to share with you one of the sort of strange silver linings, if you can say that, of this very strange time for me as a composer has been that I've had the opportunity to fill up a number of commissions, which for a composer is a really fun project where communities reach out to you and sort of give you an assignment of a type of piece that they'd like for you to write, and then for a particular occasion, and then you write it. And in my normal life outside of COVID, I'm usually primarily a touring musician, and so I write all this music and I perform it, but there's not usually a lot of time and room for lots of commission work. And because I was working exclusively from my dining room in Brooklyn for a while, I had some of that time. So I'd love to share with you 2 pieces. One is the first is a piece that is a setting that was commissioned by Rabbi Karen Kadar, who is a wonderful rabbi in Chicago at Congregation BJBE. And she asked for a setting from Psalm 27. Psalm 27 is the psalm that we traditionally are supposed to say every day during Elul. And probably the most famous verse from that psalm is Achat Sha'alti. One thing I ask of you, God, is to live in God's presence forever. And the most famous setting of that is like da 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 dee, da 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 da. So you might have heard that before. And an interesting thing about this assignment was that I was asked to use any verse except for that one verse, which is the verse that most people care about and have set. So this is a setting of a part of Psalm 27 that says Shema Adonai Koli Ekra, which says, listen to me, hear me, God, my voice cries out. And so you'll hear that text. And you'll also hear English words that the rabbi herself wrote. She's a wonderful liturgical poet. And the phrase that I picked from one of her poems said, pull me and I will follow. And I love the idea of that there's so much that we ourselves can do in this season to help ourselves turn and return and reflect and forgive and do better. And there's some things that we can't do, that we need to be sort of pulled and pushed in some sort of unknowable way. And I thought that phrase really evoked that. So I'd love to share this piece with you. This is called Koli Ekra, a setting from Psalm 27. Shema Adonai Koli Ekra, Shema Adonai Koli Ekra, Shema Adonai Koli Ekra, Koli Ekra. Follow, pull me and I will follow, pull me and I will follow. Koli ekra, Shema Adonai, Koli ekra, Shema Adonai, Koli ekra, Koli ekra. Shema Adonai Koli Ekra, Shema Adonai Koli Ekra, Koli Ekra. Koli ekra, Koli ekra.
I am so grateful that you shared that one with us. I will tell you that we also shared on our page today another amazing commission from Congregation Rodef Shalom, which was my old stomping grounds where I worked for many years. And so if you have a chance, definitely check out the song We Begin Again. Elana, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions, but first, you talked about how we are pulled and pushed in this season, in this time, and I'm going to push myself. I'm going to make a commitment to you right now. Are you ready for this? When you come here in person, Elana, I'm going to play something with you. I'm going to do it. It might be a tot Shabbat, but I'm going to do it, okay? So I might bim bum with you, but I'm going to pick up that guitar, Elana. It's a nice guitar, so I'm going to pick it up.
I can't.
Oh man, I think everybody should wait. But anyway, I love how communal your prayer is. And what I mean by that is, you write so much.
I'm sorry, can I just interrupt you for a second?
No.
Did this kidder just agree to pick up the guitar? Did I hear that right?
I heard it. I don't know if these people heard it. I think so.
I'm going to go write that down. I'm very excited about that. The music has been beautiful. We're all sitting around in a circle here, just enjoying it. We just need a campfire, and we're set to go. Thank you
Does
so
the
much.
ukulele count? I could pick up
No.
a uke. Okay.
No, we do have a ukulele, but no, I'll help her.
I'm gonna do
We're
it.
going to do guitar.
We will bim bum.
That's very
Really
exciting.
nicely. We will. We'll do it. Okay. I was saying just how much I love, the we begin again, we return. And I feel like when you give of yourself in prayer and you write, you do so with such a communal voice. And I think that's such an important part of how you lead and how you pray, because you lead in a way that inspires people to follow you. And your mom does it too. And Elana's mom is one of my favorite people in the world. And of course, Debbie of blessed memory did it too. Wherever she was going musically, you wanted to follow. So thank you. I could ask you a million questions, but I will ask you just two. What I want you to know about this community, the amazing thing about IHC is that we have got this rich history. I mean, Cantor Janice Roger was here for 38 years before me, so it's just a legendary cantorate. And before her, the Stephen Richards was the cantor here of Ritzay fame, and of course, many more things he's written, but and so we've got a very rich history of classical art music, and also Gucci is in our backyard. We are 10 minutes from Zionsville, and so we've got these, amazing multiple generations of Gucci people. And so what I love is that at IHC, music is in our DNA in the way that one cannot exist without the other. And so it has never been this, pendulum swinging one way or the other. It's just been intertwined. And so I love that. My first question for you is, if you were not doing this, Elana, what would you be doing? What's your alter ego? Like, I would be a radiologist. What would you be doing?
I didn't know that. A radiologist. That's interesting. Love to ask you some questions about that after.
I'm interested.
Questions for Cantor Mayer, you can just send them to me, and then I'll start asking the questions to you. That's a good question. I mean, I still am a teacher. I do feel like if I wasn't doing music, I would just be teaching. I think that so much of what draws me to this work is, like you said, is about the communal component and the ways in which we kind of help to lift each other up, and to be able to be a vehicle in that way to help people to connect to people, to each other, and to their own communities is really powerful. And I taught for many years as a classroom teacher, early childhood, nursery school age kids, and third grade and fourth grade, and a bunch of other capacities. And I found that experience was very similar. The thing of kind of building community and watching the kids, hold each other up and make each other better was like one of the greatest privileges of that. So I do think if I wasn't playing music and doing this particular work, I probably would still be in the classroom, and that would be great because I love that.
I love that. We are getting a couple of comments. One is people want to know how you are doing in Terrytown, which I feel like Terrytown just sounds like there is a trolley car that goes down Main Street. It just does.
But it definitely seems like there should be a trolley car. Maybe there is. I don't know. I've only been here for a little while.
I love it very much. People are big fans of the one and only Julia Cadrain, of course, hoping and asking if you sing together, and they do, and they sing together absolutely beautifully, and those videos are accessible and they're online. Someone is asking if you have ever thought about connecting music with Alden Solovy's prayers and poetry, and if you ever look for poetry outside for inspiration, or if it really just comes to you and it's part of what you do.
That's a great question. I think that up until fairly recently, I was like a little bit afraid to take other people's words and try to use them, and try to put my music to them, because it feels so personal. And when you're using someone else's words, you want to be respectful and sort of try to help evoke what that person was trying to evoke with their words. I think of it kind of like what I imagine like someone who adapts a screenplay from a book might feel, that there's like some essential qualities that exist just in the original form. And so I think up until recently, I was very wary of that. And I think truly as a result of the last year or two, getting to really just in COVID almost exclusively, getting to do more commission work has helped to push me in the direction of, very often there's a specific text that I'm being given, whether it's original text or it's a translation of a particular prayer or prayer itself. And so I think I feel a little bit more drawn to that now and a little bit more comfortable with the idea of incorporating other people's words. I love Alden's writing. I think it's incredible. I would love to take a stab at some of that. And in terms of looking outside for outside inspiration, I haven't yet set any secular poetry to music, but I am. There are a few poets that I feel really connected to. One of whom is Mary Oliver of blessed memory, who was a wonderful sort of naturalist poet who died a couple of years ago. And I've led some services when I've traveled to communities. If there's an opportunity, like for a creative Saturday morning kind of minion experience, I have led services where we replace a number of liturgical pieces with Mary Oliver poems and then surround those with music, and that really feels like something powerful. So I think there's probably something there. But yeah, there's like a beautiful, one of my favorite things in the world to do with anything, but particularly in music, is in collaboration. And so I think that that's very exciting to me, to think about collaborating with writers with their own words and helping that to sort of take flight in music.
Love that. I love that. And it sounds like we will get all kinds of creative juices flowing before you come in person. And again, she will be joining us this year right here in Indy. I can't wait. I can't wait for you to visit Indy. The last question is one of mine, but I'm going to weave in someone else's question. So someone is asking, are there prayers that have been helpful to you when you are unsure with what to do with your life and what path to take? And my question was going to be about this last year and a half for musicians. So all people who live in New York think of themselves as New Yorkers, even though all of us came from somewhere else and really only spent a piece of our lives there. We will call ourselves New Yorkers forever. And when New York City shut down, my first thought was, oh, those people who trained their whole life and finally got a lead in a Broadway show and rehearsed forever, and opening night was April 1st. You know, and like so many dreams came to a halt immediately. And your heart breaks when you think about the kids who, you know, finally got into Juilliard and couldn't start school or whatever it was, couldn't perform. And God willing, we are peeling that layer back and reemerging. And my question for you was going to be, you know, how has this last year changed you, and how does it change the way you make music and the way you re-enter? I have yet to get through a choir rehearsal without tears in my eyes, because I cannot believe how much I've missed just hearing voice upon harmony. So if you could speak to us a little bit about how you weathered the storm and how you come out at the end.
Thank you. Well, I just want to say I don't think I have any particular insight on this. I think every person in this Zoom has experienced a please God once in a lifetime disruption of every kind of normalcy and pattern and rhythm that any of us have ever established in our lives. And so for me, it was, I'm sure, similar to many of you. We have two young kids, now an 8-year-old and a 2-year-old. At the time that the pandemic started, a 6-month-old and a 6.5-year-old. And we were living in an apartment in Brooklyn with not a lot of space. And two parents working full-time from home who both lead services on Fridays and do all the same work at the same time with not enough space to really do that. And just figuring out how to manage the childcare pieces and the work pieces and the mental health of our children. I mean, just all of that stuff that really became quite extreme quickly. In New York, our daughter was in second grade, the second half of first grade and all of second grade during the pandemic. And in New York, for first grade, the schools were completely closed and fully remote. And then last year, she was at school 2 days a week in person, 3 days a week at home, and back and forth. And so you can imagine, or try to imagine, being a person of that age and sort of not having that rhythm and not having that social input and regularity. So with all of that as a context, I was very grateful on the one hand to not be an essential worker, to not be required to be out, serving in the way that so many people have done and continue to do heroically. And like you said, Aviva, it takes a lot of time and luck and hard work to be able to make your life in music. And I feel so grateful to be able to do that. And it was very scary to lose all of my work and income for the foreseeable future in the space of a day, and to not really know how that was going to be. And so I would say that one of the ways in which I feel that I've been profoundly changed, and that I feel really most people that I come into contact with in any field, or people who are retired, feel, is a deep sense of gratitude and a commitment to never, ever taking for granted again some of these blessings that I didn't even ever think about. Like, my job is to go sing with people in rooms, people I've never met, and like, that is an incredible gift. And I've only gotten to do, a handful of things in person so far. Maybe in about May, I had my first in-person gathering with a congregation in Boston with a very small number of people. And then I had something in Los Angeles with a small number of people. And just like you said, Cantor, the feeling of singing and hearing people's voices again, or playing an instrument with somebody else and getting to play off of each other, is just, of course, I always loved it, but I never particularly thought about it as such a deep blessing. And now I just feel like I will never, ever, ever take it for granted when I get to sing with another person, when I get to hear another person's voice, when I get to make music with other people and be in communal singing. And I think that if we were all to come out of this pandemic with a renewed sense of gratitude and not taking our blessings for granted, that would be an incredible gift, not a gift that I would wish on anybody. And I don't think it's been worth it, but I do think that that's something profound that we can take. And I can tell you, my kids, not the 2-year-old, because she doesn't really reflect very much yet, but the 8-year-old will never, ever take it for granted that she gets to go to school, and like, that's crazy. Like, when I was a kid, there's certainly lots of days you don't want to go to school. That is not the headspace that these kids are in when they come out of COVID. So that's an incredible gift, getting to be with our families, getting to see and hold and be in close physical contact with our parents and our kids with their grandparents. All of those things that, were just kind of part of normal life feel just like deep blessings. And so I have been trying to commit myself, in this time, especially when things it's not really clear what direction we're going in right now. And there's a lot of fear about how far we might take a step back before we go forward again. I just want to hold on to that sense of gratitude. And in terms of prayer, the thing that I think of all the time is this, in the morning liturgy, there's a section that's called Nisim B'chol Yom, like the miracles of every day. And it's like a litany of like, blessed are you, God, who opens my eyes. Blessed are you, God, who strengthens my steps. But this, all these things that are things that we take for granted usually. And one of them is Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asa li kol tzorki. Blessed are you, God, who has given me all that I need. And it's true. It's been a very, very, very hard year and a half. And here we are, and we have this miraculous technology, and we have these communities, and we have what we need. And I think when I feel like despair about what might be going on, it's just that piece of text centers me back. Thank you for giving me all that I need, more than I need, really. So you can take that with you if it helps.
What an amazing chatima to this evening. Just a beautiful way to tie it up. You were everything we needed tonight and more. We cannot thank you enough for being with us. I can't wait to be with you in person. Thank you all for joining us on Zoom. Shana Tova. I will tell you that you are still able to sign up to be with us masked and socially distanced in the sanctuary. You know that we have a very large space, and we do have a cap, a low cap of how many people we will have. So please do feel free to sign up. All of our services will be professionally produced on Live Control, the wonderful streaming service we have been using. And may we all just leave this evening of music feeling a sense of renewal. And may we just enter this new year with hope and gratitude. Thank you. Thank you, Elana. Thank you to our clergy assistant and office manager, Amber Harder. Shana Tova. Good night.
Shana Tova. Thank you so much.